Ready to rock some math here?
Yes.
Okay, so my lesson here is called Probable Probabilities, probably. To catch you guys up, what we're going to do here is the second part of a three-part class. I would have stated the learning target at the beginning of class, which was that we're going to compare the possible outcomes of a game and then make decisions based on our analysis. So we are comparing and deciding. So the first part of the class, we did a review of our previous material of the mechanics of rolling two six-sided dice, which is what 2d6 stands for. So by the time you start this, you guys are feeling a little bit better about what's more likely to happen when you roll two dice. So I've also given you plenty of dice to play with. If it's going to help you think, to pick up some dice to roll, plus it's just fun to roll dice, so have at it. So again, my language verbs that I went over at the beginning of the class, which is not here, are again compare, decide, and explain. The explain part will be the part of the class that comes after this. So before we get started with our activity, we're going to do a little bit of review of things that we've been talking about. Specifically, we've been talking about the steps for breaking down a difficult problem and figuring out a solution for it. So what we have been talking about is when we first are presented with a problem, the first step is we have to identify the things we know, and we have to define the things that we don't know. And once we have an idea of what we know and we don't know, and again, I should see nods because this is all review. Yeah, nodding, yes, good. Then we make a plan for what we're going to do. How do we get to find out the parts that we don't know yet? Then once you have a plan, then you can actually break out and flex your math skills and actually solve for the unknowns that you don't know. Then once you have all those pieces in place, then you can do your analysis step. Now you look at your new set of knowns and you balance them to each other and you try to determine what you've learned. Then at that point, you can actually make your conclusion. So again, this is review what we've been talking about. And today what we're going to do is a write-around activity where we are going to practice going through those steps. So I've given everybody your worksheets, and this is how it's going to work. When you start, you're going to start at the very first step, which is listing your knowns and unknowns, determining what you know, trying to determine what you don't know. And you're going to work those steps and go as fast as you want. If you can blaze through the first couple steps on your turn, go for it. It's okay, you don't have to stop just because you finished. When I call time, you'll pass it to the person on your left, and that person will pick up where you left off. Continue working through the steps. So when you get that paper, you need to take a moment and read what the person who went before you wrote, and think about it, and then carry that train of thought. An important thing to note is that you might disagree with people who've gone before you. You might think that they didn't take the right steps. That's great, go ahead and note it on there. I disagree with this, but then follow their train. Let's see where that takes us, because we might end up reaching the same sort of conclusion at the end. I don't want to stop anybody in their tracks. And also the other thing I want to stress is write something. If you are on a step and you're not quite sure how to proceed, write about how unsure you are. Ask questions in the text. As long as you're writing, that's the important part. And this is supposed to be for groups of 4, but I think we have some 5s, that's all right. Because eventually we'll come back around and you should end with the piece that you started with, and then we'll have a discussion about our results. So go ahead and start on that, on step 1 of this question, which I'll read to you in case you haven't read already. Your friend is asking to play a game with you, where you repeatedly roll 2 six-sided dice. Each time the 2 dice add up to an odd number, your friend gives you a quarter. But every time you roll doubles, you give your friend $1. So we are trying to determine if this is a game that's fair and a game if we should play or not. Go ahead and start in step 1. about 10 seconds left before we're going to pass. If you haven't written anything, get something down. All right, go ahead and pass to your left. Feel free to raise your hand if you feel lost and you need a little bit of guidance. Remember that when you're writing your plan, be as clear and concise as you can, because your partners are going to have to read your writing and follow your instructions. You can always imagine yourself as Wonder Woman if you need some confidence. All right, 20 more seconds. So wrap up your ideas. You will not be graded on punctuation and syntax.
Shoot, that's the only thing that's good on mine.
All right, guys, let's pass to your left.
I'm sorry, Curtis.
That's what I was just going to finish them all first. Yeah, Curtis is our grader. Our math guru. Just all the side.
There's 36 options.
So if you're up to step 3 by now, then you get to get all mathy. Then you get to flex them math muscles. Yes.
What's the equation?
Well.
We haven't gotten it. We collectively.
Maybe there isn't an equation.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
This isn't
So can we
necessarily.
play the game?
Not necessarily.
If you want, if it'll help. Absolutely, that's why you have some
Want
dice.
to play with me? Okay.
If you play a few rounds and see how it
All
goes.
right. So
Test your hypothesis.
I'll do the quarter.
That's my guess.
You give me $1?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. So it's even, so no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Now, do we know how many times we're playing? We need to agree on that before we start rolling. Okay, let's do 10 times. 10. All right. So we've done 1. 11. So I give you a quarter. Okay. All right. So you now have 25 cents. We're taking it from a mysterious pot of nuts that our grandma's money.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm going to my
3.
grandma's.
I'm giving you another quarter.
Yes.
Okay.
If the person in front of you has an equation, go ahead and use it. Whether or not you think it's right.
9. I give another quarter.
1 and 3, right? Right. So you currently have 75 cents and 6. Nope.
Nope.
So, all right, we're halfway.
Now this is the do math step, possibly. So
8,
we're
but
gonna
it's a
have a
double.
time here.
So
No,
you
it's a
get-
double. I
so
get a
you
dollar.
get a dollar.
I'm ahead.
Did you get to do some analysis. That's even better.
6. So that's nothing. Double.
Double, so you get another $1.
Ooh, I'm smoking now.
You're killing me.
And you can't catch up.
No, I'm in the basement.
7. So I go give you a
I
quarter.
get a quarter.
Does that mean you have $1 now, Jennifer?
Yeah.
Okay. $1 versus
6.
You're earning 4.
All right,
All
got
right,
one
we
more.
have 10
One more
seconds
roll.
left. Move on.
Oh, but
Double.
you get a double.
I get $3.
So if you're gonna play, you would want to be the one earning the $1.
All right,
Based
guys,
on this
pass to your
one.
left.
Based on this. Yeah.
Okay.
And if the person before you hadn't actually finished doing the math, you can finish it for us.
Just say,
I have no idea what this is. Okay. Okay. Trying to not get banned.
Be sure to read everything that's gone before so you can try to see where your partners have taken you.
I basically repeated what you said.
that's okay. That's probably what's
Doing
gonna
the
happen.
math.
Facts can you
Okay, so 2, 3, 4. So you earn $3 that way.
Yeah.
So every
Fine.
Three more minutes.
We're going to do these last couple steps in a little bit of an abbreviated fashion so we can come to some conclusions as a group. All right, go ahead and try to finish up whatever sentence you're working on because we're passing about 10 seconds. All right, go ahead and pass to your left.
Good luck to you. We'll see.
I don't know.
Ooh, I did great.
Did we just finish step 5?
no, this is step 5.
Oh, we're on step 5. Okay.
Yeah, on average, you guys should be at around the conclusion statement.
Yeah.
You guys might be, if you have a really good group, you might be into the bonus territory, and that's awesome.
bonus?
Just in case you were going cooking with gas, there's some bonus. So look what everything has come up with before you. Look at the level of analysis that your partner just finished for you, and see what kind of conclusions you can draw.
Wow, you're doing that.
All right, go ahead and wrap up whatever sentence you're working on, because we're going to be closing this up in about 10.
Fine.
About 50 seconds.
Sure, why not?
All right, gang, go ahead and pass to the left, and if you're in group of 4, you should be getting back to the one you started with.
Yeah, did you get yours?
Yeah, I got
Okay,
mine back.
good.
We're good.
Yeah, that's going to be our last round. So, if you get back, oops, I just ended it. Didn't mean to do that. So, who thinks we should play that game? Who thinks we should not play that game? Does anybody have an example of something that kind of they noticed about where they started and what they saw their groups were doing by the time they got